So in my last video we compared mechanics at every rank in Rocket League, and I brought up the point that mechanics only form a small portion of what can actually be considered skill in the game. So with that in mind, I thought why not continue the trend into a little series, this time focusing on rotation, and more specifically, comparing rotation at every rank in Rocket League. Like mechanics, rotation is another essential part of the game that you must try to learn and refine, as it is necessary in literally every game mode, even ones, and is as important if not more important than mechanics. Turbo Pulsar doesn't have the best mechanics in the world, but has won 4 world championships. So, to all of you who said that the players in the last video don't deserve their rank because their mechanics sucked, try telling that to a 4 times RLCS world champ. Anyway, so similar to the last video, I gathered one player from every rank and got them to send me a random 3v3 match to analyze and compare. As it is random, it will hopefully give a somewhat fair representation of the ranks, but just remember, this is only one person and one game, so just because they do something that you wouldn't do, don't criticize them. Everyone excels in different areas, some people have good rotation and some bad, but it doesn't mean they shouldn't be that rank. With that out of the way, I just quickly wanted to say thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. It truly means the world to me, and I'm really looking forward to bringing you some better and more improved content in the future. So if you like it, please consider subscribing. It's free, so you've got nothing to lose. To make it easier to distinguish the differences between the ranks, I split the comparisons into 3 categories: offensive rotation, defensive rotation, and finally rotation adaptability or intuition. So without further ado, let's begin with the first group, offensive rotation. Beginning with the lower ranks, and we can see that players tend to stay a lot further back on offense, to the point where it becomes too far. On the flip side, when they actually do commit, there is often 2 players on the ball, which is called a double commit, and this leaves 1 player back, which is also extremely risky. Additionally, they tend to be very indecisive and hesitant, being more reactive to the play rather than trying to proactively predict where it will be in a few seconds' time. Moving towards the middle ranks, where the players tend to read the play a lot more and anticipate opposition clears and are ready to collect them. They are also a lot closer to the play, rendering them more useful and effective on offense. Moreover, they are generally more aware of their teammates' position and subsequently space themselves, allowing them to be braver and to commit for balls that the lower ranks don't. Finally, in the higher ranks is where we see a greater understanding and exhibition of good rotation. They understand when they should and should not commit, as they are aware of their position in the rotation sequence. Their field coverage and spacing is a lot more efficient, allowing for repetitive challenges without overcommitting. They are also often in the correct position for many passing plays, and they pull them off frequently, which is essential for high level 3v3. Lastly, they are extremely decisive. They know what they want to do and they make that choice in a matter of milliseconds, leading to a much higher game speed. Once again, starting with the lower ranks, and one thing I instantly noticed was the lack of back post rotation. They would often rotate directly into goals, backwards into goals, and just about any way other than through the back post. They were also generally not aware when another teammate was in the goals with them, leading to 2 or even 3 players sitting in goals at one time. Like offense, this led them to being very reactive and hesitant, so rather than trying to stop the ball before a shot came on net, they would often wait for the shot and then try to attempt to save. Additionally, they often did a little forwards and backwards movement as they waited to challenge, which stopped all of their momentum and is something you really want to cut out of your defensive rotation. As we move on to the middle ranks, we see a lot more back post rotation, although not at the level of the higher ranks, it is a lot more prevalent. They begin to space better, with only 1 person challenging the ball at most times and another back post. Moreover, they don't all follow the ball at a defense, rather sitting behind the player and following the ball just in case they lose possession or at 50. There are still a few rotation cuts and forward and back movements, but not nearly to the level we saw in the lower ranks. Lastly, in the higher ranks, the defensive rotation is a lot more fast and fluid. Every player is a lot quicker to challenge and a lot faster to decide whether to go for it or to leave it for their teammates. They will almost always rotate back post and keep their speed and momentum up rather than stopping and doing the dreaded forward and back movement. keeping up their game speed and counterattacks a lot faster. There are occasional double commits, but they are generally to prevent a certain goal or to speed up a counterattack. This section focuses more on the player knowledge and decision making on what exactly they need to do in certain situations. In the lower ranks, when an unusual or unseen situation is put before them, they struggle to adapt to it, electing to wait and see how it plays out before making a decision. They are also often stranded when they double commit or do not make contact with the ball. Whilst they are sometimes in the correct position, they have trouble with knowing when to rotate out and leave the ball and when to cut rotation, leading them often to having the mindset of hitting the ball if it's near me, which is also known as ball chasing. In the middle ranks, they showed an increased awareness of their teammates' position, and more importantly, that they were able to adapt if their teammates cut rotation or if the ball went into an awkward position. This wasn't always the case, as they did find themselves caught in bad positions and were indecisive if something awkward happened, but it was definitely less prevalent than in the lower ranks. And finally, the higher ranks exhibited a much greater understanding of when to cut rotation and or double commit for the greater good of the team. On the flip side, they also knew when it was time to stay back and play third man, as they recognised that the offense could be taken to no further levels. They were also more aware and vigilant for passes and actually utilised back passes, but also did show that they could be put off by the occasional odd hit or tough read. Alrighty guys, so that finishes up the rotation comparisons for this video. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the mechanics comparisons at every rank, which is the prequel to this. Additionally, I hope that you, like me, learned something new and got to understand and grasp how rotation evolves across the ranks, and also to comprehend how this isn't linear, but rather a very jagged and bumpy trend. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Cheers.